Caffeinated Warlord here with a Kings of War tournament battle report set at my latest tournament, Terrain Wreck. Now, I've actually been attending tournaments, but the last one I attended, I could not make a tournament report for because I did not play. I hosted it. I was the tournament organizer, the TO, because it was about time someone else ran some tournaments in Victoria. We had Mike Crossman ran tournaments for yonks for ages. He did it willingly, always, and he did them well. But he needed a break, and so I stepped in to run that tournament. That was in December. It was a Christmas-themed tournament, very appropriate, and went quite well. But as we finished off the year and went into 2025, I realized we needed to have another event on the cards. And I talked to Dan Bird, also known as Dan Bird. Most people know him as a painter of beautiful models, such as halflings and 𝐦𝐚𝐽𝐬, but he's also, it turns out, a dreamer of fun tournaments. He wants events that are a bit different, a bit fun. And so I picked his brain for what he thought might be a fun kind of event. What's something, you know, that is a bit different, that differentiates itself from the standard tournament kind of setup where it's just, you know, the standard layout of the terrain and the standard points, all that kind of stuff. What could be different? And he quickly, just first idea came to me was a terrain-heavy tournament, which we came up with the name, or he came up with the name, Terrain Wreck. And so, as the title suggests, it's just a whole wreck of terrain, heaps of terrain, but also to the point of making interesting tables, making tables that tell a story. So it's not just chucking on a whole bunch of hills and just being like, haha, it's a hill. It's a whole hill board. I mean, you could have that, the rolling hills, but you know, maybe like a farm one that's more just the riverlands, Sylvan Forest, things like that. Dwarf Kings Hold, a village. These kinds of ideas, terrain heavy, and themes that you normally can't sell in the standard tournament terrain layout, because most tournaments and nearly every video on this channel is done with the epic dwarf map kind of terrain idea, which is 2 of every kind of terrain piece, be it obstacles, blocking terrain, you know, flat forests and hills, and just kind of moving them around the map a bit. And so they might be different sizes, they might look different, but generally that is it. And when you only have 2 buildings and 2 of this and 2 of that to work with, you can kind of have a theme. Like you can be like, yeah, this is the icy one and this is the desert one, but you can't get much stronger than that. You certainly couldn't say this is the city one, because when you only have 2 buildings, and 2 buildings is not a city. But it's 3 games, it's 1995 points, a bit lower, so you've got a bit of a small army. So what opponent was my first opponent? Well, it was Abyssal Dwarfs, as you might have known by the title. I don't know why I tried to set that up in such a way. But let's get on into my army. So I brought the Trident Realms, and this was a list that was something I never would normally take. Like, the only thing on here that I would take every time, because they're fantastic, are things like 𝐦𝐚𝐬𝐧, Oceanborn 9 Worm Riders. But, you know, everything, a lot of the other stuff hasn't been used either before or in a very long time. So, in this list of 1995 points, I have 2 regiments of ensnarers, a River Guard troop, 2 hordes of water elementals, Oceanborn Naiad Worm Rider horde, so it's a big horde of them, with the blood of the Old King, to give them vicious and elite for a turn. We have a greater water elemental, 2 𝐦𝐚𝐽𝐬𝐧, 1 Kraken with the upgrade 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 Inspiring, and a Thunderous Charge 1+1 aura for all things with the Deep Ones keyword, which you'll notice in this list is just the Kraken and then the Thule Mythicon. So really it's just an upgrade to say the Kraken now has Thunderous Charge 1. Then we also have the Thule Mythicon, who is a little melee hero with Bane Chant 2 and Surge 6, and finally the Naiad Envoy with Bastion 2. Now, for those of you that are very astute and know the Trident Realm list very well, you'll notice that nearly everything in this list has either Pathfinder or Strider. Naiad Ensnarers, Pathfinder. Riverguard, Pathfinder. Water Elementals, Strider. Oceanborn 9 Werb Riders, Pathfinder, you get the idea. So nearly everything is ignoring terrain, in terms of combat at least, and lots of it can go out the double in terrain. So that's very, very helpful, but it's also, these units are not the most popular. So especially regiment-sized Naiad Ensnarers, that's not popular because they don't have very high nerve at all. I think it's like 13, 15. They're defense 3. They do have Ensnare, as their name suggests, but that doesn't really save them when you're defense 3. Like, the damage just plows right through. But Where they might shine will be in a tournament where you have heaps of terrain, because chances are they can get into situations where the enemy will be hindered and ensnared, so that's a -2 to hit. I've also included the Knight Envoy for a bit of Bastion, and that definitely helps a lot of the time. Another unit that I don't see very often in Trident Realms, and I certainly don't use, like I've tried, is Water Elementals and the Greater Water Elemental, because these guys really just don't have much synergy in the list. Water Elementals in particular are just a good block of nerve, but they just don't do much damage. But they are Striders, they can ignore terrain, and they're very durable, so if they're going to get hit by something that's hindered, they're probably going to be fine, because they're just defense 5 and they'll regenerate. The Greater Water Elemental regenerates even better, and hey, now I've got some Naiad Ensnarers that I care about. Suddenly the Greater Water Elemental's bonus little Radiance of Life just for Naiads, pretty helpful. And it might even help the Worm Riders. So there's a lot of things going together that were coming together in this list. The Kraken in particular came in because I needed another source of inspiring, because I got the 2, the Mythicin and this Envoy, but I really needed that third source, and I had a chunk of points left. And initially it was like, oh, we'll just have another Naiad Ensnarers or a River Guard, and then some, maybe another Envoy or a Aquamage running around. But then I just felt like not only did I need something that was inspiring, but I need something that could maybe crack something, like a Kraken. And so Cthulhu, the Tidebringer, brings this Kraken up to quite a lethal level by giving it that Thunderous Charge 1 on top of crushing 2. So that means defense 5, wounding on 2s. So that was how it kind of came in. So there you go. That's the craziness that went through my mind. And I thought, well, a lot of these units, I have them. They're considered not great for the hot list, but gosh, if they're going to work anywhere, it's going to be in a terrain-heavy tournament. And so that's why I made the list that I titled, What's Kraken? Now, the Abyssal Dwarf player I was going against, his name is Dean, and he is brand new to Kings of War. In fact, he hadn't really had a game before this game. But he brought along his Abyssal Dwarfs, and boy did he bring them, because they look fantastic. What's painted looks epic. What's not painted still looks good. Like, it's undercoated in such a Zenithal-y way, quite professionally, that it still looks great. The details all pop, and who am I to know that he's not going for that color scheme with his Decimators. Now, let's get into the actual list. There's 1995 points. He's appropriately named Maiden Voyage Dwarfs, because this is his first match. But you'll see that this is no slouch of a list. We have 2 regiments of Black Souls with Throwing Mastiffs, so a very good standard kind of infantry, and they're just going to throw those Mastiffs at me, which I'm not looking forward to with some of my low defense units. We have a horde of Decimators with Blessings of the Gods. We did recommend to people in the tournament that, bringing along, infantry hordes, big units might not be a great idea, especially if you're fighting on tight spaces. But in Defiance, a lot of players brought things. One player, you'll see later, brought a bloody cavalry horde, because he just thought, why not? And I can tell you for sure, there were parts of some tables where cavalry hordes were certainly just going to get stuck. They wouldn't get through. But, the crazy guy, he brought them anyway. Anyway, back to the list. Decimators with Blessing of the Gods, so they have elite for their shooting as well as in combat, so just quite frightful. 2 units of Lesser Obsidian Golems. One's a regiment, one's a horde, and they both come with the Charnox, so it's their kind of shooting upgrade. So that's some defense 6 right there that I will struggle to get through, because Trident Realms famously do not have that much crushing strength outside of my good old Kraken. Then we have a regiment of Abyssal Grotesques. He wants a horde of Abyssal Grotesques, but he cites the fact that the Mega Army box only comes with enough to make a regiment. So good on him, it's just got what he's got in the box, but they're looking great. Next, we have a mutated Mastiff hunting pack that can throw itself with a throwing Mastiff. I think of it actually just of running out. So he's got two Mastiff hunting packs. He has Infernoc, which is the giant, the greater obsidian golem. That is actually a unique one that can fire spells out of it from Dravik Dolken, and also has Inspiring Self. Those spells that Dravik Dolken, the other hero in this list, are Fireball 12, Heal 3, and Surge 12. Epic. And so he can shoot these out of Infernoc instead of himself, which is pretty amazing, especially like Fireball 12, and he gets vicious on that, and Surge 12. Fantastic. Like, you can surge anything. The only thing that Dean found out was that unlike Dravik, who is an individual and can kind of just shoot spells in any which way because he can pivot and then cast, the Infernoc cannot just pivot and then cast, so he has to be able to cast on something in front of him. So Surge through the Infernoc is not so great because he's usually not behind things. He's usually in front, or at least in line. So yeah, and then we have finally an Overmaster on Ancient Winged Halfbreed. So that's and that bringing one command red dice, and Dravik Dolkin's also bringing one command dice, the red one. So we've got 2 extra. So he's got 5 red command dice, and I didn't buy any command dice because the Trident Realm ones, the orders, are super cheap. I don't know why, but they're super cheap. So pretty much I just want Barkskin, because I don't even need Pathfinder, because my whole army's got it. So I just want to be able to get 2, so I can just check a Barkskin on something that I want to protect a bit. And that's all I ever did. Maybe a reroll here or there. Whereas he has some more useful ones. He has some more useful kind of commands. But yeah, I don't mind the command orders, but I'm not going to get into that here. Command orders, whatever. So that's his army list. So it's it's definitely got some nice variety, and there's things you could obviously optimize, like the Abyssal Grotesques could be made into a horde, and he wants to do that. He's going to do it. But already with a horde of decimators, he's not mucking about. He is here to do some damage and inflict some wounds. So these 2 armies are coming together on this table. Feast your eyes. This is the Dwarf King's Hold. So we have, let's start with the terrain, because at Terrain Wreck, I obviously really need to discuss the terrain. So we have hills, they're height 8, so that if you stood on them, you could actually look over blocking. So we have three hills, which is already different. Then we have some flat terrain, so we've got these height 0, flat terrains around here. And then we have some blocking terrain, blocking. This is like a kind of a Dwarf King's Tower kind of fortress. And this is a brewery over here, so there's like 4 blocking on here. And then over here is just a cool kind of stone fortress hut, and that's a rock that's glowing. It's a glowing rock. And then even some obstacles. So obstacle, I've already got O with obstacle. Oh, what's going on with my cursor? But yeah, we've got an obstacle there. So you can see lots of terrain around. It's not. This one is probably one of the milder tables in the fact that it doesn't have all that much difficult terrain or that much more obstacles, but it's still more dense than usual, especially with the blocking terrain. So yeah, this was the Dwarf King's Hold table, which went well with the mat underneath. So we're up in the mountains. Now you can see the way I've deployed. So I've got down here. Let's take a look at my units. We've got water elementals next to the naiads, and I always just, I've never really played these armies before, so I was at least this format of army. So I had my naiads either side of my greater water elemental to make use of that radiance of life. I've got another water elemental unit behind them. The river guard are behind them as well, because they've got that leaper special rule, so they can actually see when they want to charge at height 3. And then we have the Mythicon right down here. There's a little Mythicon, sometimes harder to see. We've got one Kraken here on this left part of the army, so in the middle, and then we have the Envoy over here. And then on the far right, that almost is cut off, which is quite annoying. I didn't quite get that in the shot. We've got Worm Riders, the Kraken, and the other Nucker. So that's the fast flank, if you will. It's not that fast. It's not as fast as his, because he's got a bloody dragon over there, but fast enough. So on his side, he has the dragon. So that's the Abyssal Halfbreed, well, Great Halfbreed, Winged Halfbreed. It gets a bit confusing. We have the Grotesques as well. There's a Grotesque Regiment. In the middle, he has his 2 Black Souls either side of his Decimators, and behind the Decimators, he has some dogs. The Abyssal Mastiff, Mutated Mastiffs. Yeah, the other Mastiffs are behind the Grotesques here as well. I forgot to mention. So yeah, there they are. And then on the left is the Golem Town. So we have the Obsidian Golem Horde, the Obsidian Golem Regiment, and we have the Greater Obsidian Golem that is Infernoc, and also Dravik Dolkin. But what I pointed out immediately as he was kind of saying, like, oh mate, you're missing a little bit of inspiring in the middle here. And I think it's just because he really wanted Dravik Dolkin over here to support this whole unit, but and need the inspiring there because I didn't realize that the Infernoc was inspiring himself until after, as he pointed out. I'm like, So yeah, I mean, you gotta go through these games and find out what works best, and generally, 3 inspiring sources for these kinds of games is most recommended. You can get away with 2, but if you're going to, you really need to be a compact deployment, and obviously he's spread out a bit here. But this is his first game, so I mean, he's put down the models facing the right way. He's doing better than me. So that's the setup, this is the game, and the scenario, if I can try and call it off the top of my head, was Invade. It was Invade. So let's look at some models. Here is his winged half-breed, and already you can see just with the current paint job, he's got this color combination that he really likes. He says he's a fan of orange and purple and red. You can see that on the mastiffs over there, and he's bringing it in here. He's almost done. The guy on top is not quite there yet, but it's a great, vibrant-looking Abyssal Dwarf army that makes it look a bit different. And he's already done the multi-basing. That's the amazing part. Like, even if it's not painted, it's already multi-based. So, you know, these guys, they're works in progress. Here, the Obsidian Golems, clearly, you can tell what he's into, and he's into Defense 6 Obsidian Golems, and I respect that, because, yeah, why not? And so he's clearly gone to painting these first, and they're fantastic. So it's just, yeah, to see a new player is always great, but to see a new player with a painted or in progress painted army was fantastic. And so just like, yeah, I was very excited for this game. And we're off. Is that what I'm showing here? No, I'm just showing the cool picture from the side. So yeah, there we go. And yeah, here's my army. You've seen these before. So I'm currently in progress of fully rebasing the army. So it's all going to be in this style. So it's going to be the kind of Greek islands, limestoney seaside look, rather than this is more just kind of barely painted cork. So yeah, I've got armies in 2 different states of conversion, but yeah, I'm also trying to paint my abyssals and do a lot of different and at this time also I was just painting lots of stuff of terrain to get terrain ready. So the idea was to have at least this army ready for terrain wreck, but in the end I just like, should be good enough. And it does look good. I mean, everything's blue, so it doesn't matter too much. And there's the Kraken. He's finally out. Normally I just bring the Coral Giant because it's just better, but you know, when he's made Cthulhu, he's not bad at all. So it's turn 1. So what we can see here, he gets turn 1, his head up, just moved up everything. So he's just trying to get into a situation where he can shoot me with his decimators. Fair play. And he's just trying to move up with his shambling flank. But as he'll realize, having these guys all the way out here and shambling, and when he started putting them down, the defense 6 guys, I'm like, no, I'm not. I can't deal with that. Either my whole army is here to deal with defense 6 because I need it all to work together, you know, Bane Chant and getting flanks and all that kind of stuff, or I just don't touch it and just hope that I can deal with the other stuff so that by the time the defense 6 reinforcements arrive, I'm done and far away because they're quite slow. And so, because they're speed 5 and speed 6, they can't go at the double. He can surge one thing at a time, but it's going to take a while. So I'm hoping I can finish up the rest of the army and not worry about his obsidian stuff. And this whole flank here is almost 1,000 points by itself. So, you know, just ignoring that does give me advantage because then I can pour the entirety of my 1995 points into just this part of the army instead. That was some terrible circling. I do apologize. And there's just some more pictures looking at stuff. Oh, yes, actually, I didn't point this out. This is a model from the Witcher board game. I think it's the board game or war game. Anyway, it's a Witcher game that has miniatures, and that is supposed to be one of those elementals that you can find around the Witcher world and get, you know, ability points from when you defeat them. Anyway, it's painted very well and blends in perfectly here. I really loved it. Just thought I'd point that out. He has it on it's on a little base, like has a slot in it for the round base to go into, so it just blends in. It's fantastic. Anyway, my turn. I move up. And that's really what I do. I just kind of move up. I move up boldly with water elementals and just keep everything else behind because I don't want to get mastiffs just thrown into my knights, because if all mastiffs go into the one unit, they'll probably straight up kill it because they're defense 3. They'll just be gone, and I'll be very sad. And I'm being a bit more bold if it goes over here. So yeah, we can see there. And I've got my Bastion. Just cast Bastion on the greater water elemental, which just means that everything around is in this very nice kind of +1 nerve bubble. So, and it's not like the greater water elemental is about to die very quickly, because he's a little tank. Dash 18, defense 5, regen 4+, not bad. Over here, what I'm trying to do is get a bit close, but not give a charge to anything on my Naiad Worm Riders, because Naiad Worm Riders, unlike Naiads in general, or Naiad Ensnarers at least, they don't have Ensnare. but they are defense 4, so I guess it's kind of the same as a defense 3 in Snare, same. But I just don't want them to get hit. They're my hammer, and I want them to be fresh to go in. So that's why I've got the 𝐸𝐸𝐻 in front. He's acting as a little chaff piece, and I've put the bark skin token on there. So whenever you see this little shield token, that means I've put a bark skin token on with my command, and the Kraken's there too. And the Kraken's angled in such a way that either the half-breed or the grotesques can go in, but not both. So that was the idea there. I just don't want multi-charges on my stuff, where you can just pop them straight away. And the same with the 𝐸𝐸𝐻. He can't get the grotesques and the half-breed into them. So it was, you know, little brainy stuff there. Turn 2. So here we are in turn 2, and he's moved up more. The shuffling, shambling flank is still making its way, and it's got to get all the way around this fortress. So it's going to take a wee little while. Whereas the Devastators have decided to jump into terrain, and they're ready to start pouring some shots into me. So this whole battle line is ready to go and shoot some unlucky units. So I'm just going to hope that, since I'm just presenting defense 5 stuff, it will be not so devastating. And the Decimators did move in. They could only get this far, so their leader point is still in terrain, so they will suffer that -1 cover, having moved in difficult terrain. So yeah, just taking a picture of these guys. You can see he didn't really get that much further, so it's going to take a while. So the Doomsday Clock ticks slowly downwards. Over here, yeah, just showing the... See, look, that's what I was saying. These guys, just Zenithal highlighted, these Decimators. And it still looks great. Like, I look at that, I'm like, well, I'm not offended. Not by any means. They look pretty good to me. So, yeah, I was impressed. These dogs just left on the hill because... Oh, and yeah, actually, some dogs on the hill. But around here, what he did is, first, he surged Infernoch. And then Infernoch cast Fireball on my River Guard. Boom! And he did 1 damage, but that will waver them. And over here, a whole bunch of shots were done. I think this was Mastiffs, or if not, it was just the Decimators going into my Water Elementals, so that's 4 damage there. And here, yeah, we got some combat. So the Grotesques went into the 𝐸𝐸𝐻, and the Half-Breed went into the Kraken. It's not a flank, it's just, you know, these... I love me my mounting models, but can you just make them fit the base? Or make the base bigger? Give them a new class of base, but just something. Anyway, so I had to turn my Kraken around, otherwise we're just not actually going to be anywhere near base to base. We're still not base to base, but it was far worse before. Anyway, 5 damage on the Kraken as well. So nothing broke, everything's fine, we're just sitting around. So in my turn in retaliation, so it's still turn 2, I bring in the waves. So down, sweeping off the hill, and on the side of the hill we've got Water Elementals and 𝐸𝐸𝐻 and Greater Water Elemental into the Decimators. None of these units by themselves will have any chance in hell. Even all units together, still not that great a chance, because, you know, most of it's hitting on 4s, and none of it really has all that much crushing. But hey, we're gonna give it a shot anyway, and the consequences aren't too dire if we get stuck there. It's just some Black Souls in the flank of my Water Elementals. These Water Elementals came off the hill and went into these Black Souls on the right, so we'll see how they go. Over here, well, it's countercharge season, so my poor Naiad Worm Riders, I didn't think this far ahead. It's like, what will happen? Well, I just thought the 𝐸𝐸𝐻 would die. Maybe we'll die next turn. But yeah, so Naiad Worm Riders are just kind of stuck there, just going, alright, come on. When can we do something? So the fight goes on. But, ooh, yeah, we can see some... That became a 3 because I realized I had my bark skin token there, so it wouldn't have taken 4 damage, he took 3, and the Kraken's just regenerating like crazy, so he went from 5 to 2. So good on the Kraken. Over here, I'm taking a picture of this because golems are there. Maybe just to add some suspense. Ooh, they're getting close. And then we've got some dice rolling action where it's already gone into his turn, but I'm taking pictures frantically because what happened? The Decimators have died. So then to help my locked up units that were all, you know, side by side by side, move around a bit, I just sent the 𝐸𝐸𝐻 forward, so off you go 𝐸𝐸𝐻, and then turned my Water Elementals to face 1 Black Soul unit and the Greater Water to face the other Black Soul unit, which took a measly 2 damage from these Water Elementals off a hill. You know, hit on the 4s, die by 4s, as they say. Oh, and River Guard, we're not wavered. Spoiler alert, they will be. Turn 3. Coming around the corner is the Greater Obsidian Golem that is Infernoch, and he's going to cast Fireball again. He's just going to keep chasing my stuff and be annoying. Over here, well, he's just gone into what I presented him. So Black Souls into the Water Elementals, Mastiffs into the Nuka, and yeah, the rest of the Golems are just trying to get around, and I think he surged these Golems just to push them a bit forward, just trying to get into combat. Over here, Mastiffs have come into the flank off that hill, so you know that's if Mastiffs are going to do any damage, it'll be off a hill into my Water Elementals, and they do 6 damage, which is a decent amount, whereas I think these Black Souls did not much in return. So it was mostly Mastiffs, I'll let you know. Over here we have, oh, that's a death of the River Guard. They didn't even get wavered, they just got deaded. So yeah, the Obsidian Golem coming around doing Fireball, managed to destroy, gone, no more River Guard. So unfortunately in this game I will not find out how effective River Guard are, which is a great sadness to me. Yeah, there we go, that's a bit better shot. So yeah, Infernock has infernated my, or incinerated my River Guard. Oh, more damage. Oh, maybe that was then the Black Souls going on. We've got 8 damage here on the Water Elementals. So yeah, it's getting there, but they are dash 18 because I still have Bastion going. So yeah, it's a high nerve to hit. So the Water Elementals were on 4 damage and took another 4 from the Black Souls, even though they were hindered. So, and I didn't regenerate very much. So that's them. But everything over here is fearless. All this Water Elemental stuff. So we're all fine. The Nuka did take some damage, but he is also fine because it's just 4. Hold in there. Meanwhile, on the other side of the battlefield, a ensnared dragon is an unhappy dragon, and only did 4 damage to my Kraken, while the Grotesque did a little bit of damage to the Nuka. But it's still holding, and so this flank is holding well, but a little bit too well because my Worm Riders are not getting to see any action. In my turn, I regenerate like crazy with the Kraken, which is very rude. 5 out of 6 damage was just fully regenerated. A lot of this army regenerates, and I think just, yeah, not making any friends there. But yeah, so the Kraken is definitely able to take some hits. He hasn't done too much damage to this, but it's just slowly wearing it down. In the middle, well, it's all kinds of charges. I've gone into the flank of these Mastiffs here with my Ensnarers. You know, Ensnarers aren't going to do much unless they're going into the flank of something with very low defense. That might lead to some good results. It's a full-on wave, deep wave pool going on for these Black Souls. They are going way too deep with all these Water Elementals and a greater Water Elemental in the flank. Nuka goes back into the dogs, and with the Water Elementals going still into these Black Souls on the left. And Golems coming around, but can we deal with the middle? Yes, we can. So we have gotten rid of the Black Souls, the dogs, the other dogs, so it's all wiped away apart from these Black Souls here, which we only did a measly little bit damage on, so those Black Souls on the left will stick around. But we're not worried, so most of my army is now turning to go this way. We want to get away and go to either a safe part of the board to firmly hold our invade status, or to go help out with the fast flank to try and get rid of that Abyssal half-breed, the winged half-breed there. So that's the plan for now. So that's this whole flank over here that we want to help out. In this particular round, I think I did no damage with my Nuka, so now it's going to get hit with full force, because if you don't know Grotesques, they have high thunderous charge that can make them very deadly, but if they get disordered, they're not very happy. And I don't think I've disordered them, and so next turn the Nuka is going to take an incredible amount of pain. So in his turn, I think, yeah, turn 4. So there we go, turn 4, but it says turn 3. But don't let that deceive you, he's doing his Abyssal Mutations. Aren't these cards cool? They were lent to him from Matt Selleck. So if you want some of those cards, I'll maybe slip in a little, it'll either be in the description below, or I'll actually do a promo, but get some of these cards from Direct Misfire. Because this is a Direct Misfire dice as well, so if they're also selling some dice if you're interested. Anyway, turn 4, going on, the fight continues between the Kaiju. I mean, that's what you want. You just want a cool Kaiju battle that'll just drag out for the entire game. Why wouldn't you want that? Over here, the Golems are finally getting somewhere. And we gotta watch out as they come in range with their Charnox and they can start charging, so we're just gonna see what happens there. Meanwhile, we have my whole army is just trying to go this way, so can we get away before the Golems engage? Well, it might take something to be sacrificed, such as Wavering Naiad. So already a Fireball, and I think the Charnox was in range. Maybe not, because I think the leader point's behind the greater Obsidian Golem Infernal thing. So yeah, we've got a whole wavered Naiad unit, so guess who's up for sacrifice and being the speed bump? These Naiads are. yeah, just showing that. I'll take a picture where I get a bit closer. Yeah, and then around here, well, we've still got damage going on. Yeah, it's just taking a while to clear this fast flank. This time there's a little bit hard to see, but that looks like it could be a 9, 7, 8, 9. 9 damage now done to the Kraken, so it's getting hurt a little bit more. So we'll just see if we can regenerate back and fight back. And the 𝐸𝐸𝐻 taking a little bit more damage, but you know, it's just still chugging along. And so is this fight here. If things start to grind, well, we know how to grind, but so do Abyssal Dwarfs, so this grind continues as well. Back to the middle, I've turned my 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐧 around. They're just going to take the oncoming Obsidian Onslaught and hold them off so that the rest of my army can run away and, you know, go for the objectives and things like that. My 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐽 over here has done a sneaky little zoomed around the back and now facing now at a tasty rear of the Abyssal Half-Breed, the Winged Half-Breed. And yeah, these water elementals are taking their time to get through the Black Souls, but we've regenerated a bunch. That's good, I suppose. So let's just see how the situation goes. Over here, still my turn 4, which is grinding away, regenerating away, got almost half of it back again on the Kraken. The Kraken's just holding in there, as is the 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐽. So yeah, still, turn 4, Ocean Worm Riders. They've actually, this is where they got to on turn 1, and this is where they've stayed for 4 turns. And the Obsidian Onslaught is on its way. But we managed to finish off those Black Souls. You'll see there, nice 13 amount of damage. It only took 3 turns, took a while of just waves crashing on them, but I guess, you know, it's just water, so what's the big deal? But finally my water elementals are freed, and now turn to face also the Obsidian Golems. That's the situation that we got here, managing to get away and hold them off. Here, well, we got some very meaningless combat here. I managed to do 1 damage. See, look at that. It's just not much damage coming from the 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐽, but you know, he's only got 6 attacks, the poor guy, so what can I say? Turn 5. And now the Obsidians are getting in. So the 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐽 has gone into the water elementals to take them on, and he might very well do it. He's got Strider, so he doesn't care about obstacles. He's got high crushing, so he can definitely make a big splash. And meanwhile, we've got a whole bunch of shooting from the Charnox and some fireballs and stuff into my poor wavered 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐽s. Over here, we're back up to 9 damage. We've been here before, but will it be enough? I don't know. So that's happening on the Kraken there, and then the 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐽 takes a bit more damage and is now wavered. So it is now just going to sit there and still be a speed hump. What I should have done, in hindsight, is I should have wiggled my Worm Riders back a bit, just enough so that my 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐽 could do a cheeky little, like, back off and withdraw sideways and get out, or this way, to make way in the event, or just in any event, just in this, just to take the hit, get out, because I don't want to, really I wouldn't like my 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐽 to die, and so really what I should have done, instead of just having my Worm Riders sit there, I should have had to move them back, and then allow the 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐽 to extricate itself, and then boom, charge in with my Worm Riders, take out those grotesques, and then boom, face the Abyssal Half-Breed, take that out. Hindsight, huh? Especially in a battle report. See, if you want to get better at your games, watch your battles. But the water elementals, surprisingly, could not take the heat of the Infernoch. The Infernoch crashed right into them, did a whole bunch of damage, and then he rolled hot as the Infernoch is himself, and destroyed them. So that's the water elemental horde gone. Here, we've got some shooting, but they just remain wavered, so we're still wavered. Poor wavered 𝐸𝐻𝐽s. The rest of the army has now just completely abandoned them, and that's what's happening here. We've just gone right back in. I think I've kind of skipped over Dean's turn. Sorry, Dean. So now it's, well, no, that was his turn 5. Now it's my turn 5, and so I've got these 𝐸𝐻𝐽s. I've just scooted off to as far in the back of the board as they can, just to be, you know, unit strength that he can't grab at all. Whereas I'm coming down here, so I've got the 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐽 that went into the rear of the half-breed, and then the grotesques are getting a rear from water elementals. It was just a rear, and so that should be enough to take those guys out over there, while I still maintain my unit strength on the other side of the board. So that's what we're seeing here. There's some real devastation, and these 𝐸𝐻𝐽s not regenerating very well anymore. Considering regeneration 4+, they only got 1. to hold up the Infernoc, I decided that, I can stop him from casting Fireball at least, so he can't just shoot right from here. And so the Mythicin has gone in to just slap some sense into this Infernoc and get it disordered. But yes, the foregone conclusion is that when you rear with anything that's got any combat capabilities, it's going to be a lot of damage. And that's what happens when you send in Water Elementals and a Knucker into a rear. And so finally, these guys managed to grind their way the whole game pretty much to turn 5, so that my army could, just make its way around. So my tactic of ignoring the Obsidian Elementals, Obsidian Golems, and then just moving away from them did work. My army is not super fast, but reasonably fast. Speed 7 to 9, not bad. And so we could do this kind of crazy shenanigans. But over here, the Obsidian Golems are now finally going into my army. They've taken 6 turns to come around and get into it, but they've got to the Naiads, and they're going to destroy them, no doubt about that. Whereas over here, my army is just turning just in case. If there's a turn 7, we're ready to go. And you can see the demise of the Naiads has already happened. So they've all come across. They're in the middle, but they're just straddling slightly more on my side of the board so that they can get the unit strength there. And I've got my unit strength on his side of the board. And that's how it's going to end. And I'm just going to try and hold off, stop the Infernoc again from attacking. And that was just in case of the turn 7. But there was not. This is the end of the game. So we can see here pretty much everything we need to see. We've got, this is actually a horde of the elementals, but the regiment was just left behind. It just got kind of somewhere around the tower. He's like, good enough. It got there. It's the unit strength. So I think it was a fantastic game against some fantastic looking models with a fantastic opponent. So there's not much to complain about. And it was his first game, and I thought he did incredibly well against an army that a lot of people don't see. And I purposely I didn't take some units that I know are really overwhelming for new players. Well, not overwhelming, I would say, but just they got a lot of rules. So like and they're really annoying rules, like the Disordering Trident of the Naiad Centurion, who can take his Trident of the Drowned Sea that can disorder when it shoots, and is range 3+, so he does really well. And so he's not in this list, who normally would always be. And I would always take the Siren, who can cast 4 spells, and all 4 of them, and it's a lot of rolling, but that's a lot of stuff going on as well. But by not using them, I took them out, and I could bring a Kraken along, because that's how much they cost. To put them all together, that's 1 Kraken. So it's good. It was good. Trying out different units and having some real good fun, especially since I painted the units. It'd be nice to bring them. So. And it was good to see some Abyssal Dwarfs, and I look forward to seeing his army evolve, get some more grotesques in. I think he saw how they can hit well, but he would want more of them. And I think he'll work on his deployment to make sure that he's got things a bit more centralized rather than spread out. Especially with just 2 inspiring sources, you gotta put them all together. And if anything, I think the Infernoc probably makes a really good flanking dude, something that you have to watch out for, because he can go around by himself, because he's got self-inspiring, and he can still cast the spells by being some alternative source of, point of view for the Dravak Dolken. But anyway, it was a good game. I think Dean enjoyed it. And I think he went on to win a game in the tournament anyway. So that's what you want. You want to go in get out with at least 1 win. It just kind of tells you, yeah, the army does work. I work. Things work. That can be encouraging. But otherwise, it was, time to go on to Game 2, which you'll see in the next battle report. So if you like this report, like and subscribe. I know it's a slide battle report. We don't like slide battle reports. We want them videos. But hey, I go to a tournament. I want to make something out of it. I want some kind of content, and this is the way to do it. I'm not going to video at a tournament. This is just rude. It adds an extra half an hour to an hour at least of just putting in kind of video content. Unless I just have something sitting on the wall, just recording, but that's also not so great. So this is the best I can do, and also I'm lazy, so yeah, sue me. But yeah, don't sue me, just like and comment and say some stuff, or generally just tell people that this is a channel that you can watch. So yeah, otherwise I will see you in the next one. Bye.